Liz from Caravan Guard Insurance. Now, driving and touring around in a motorhome often means enduring those annoying rattles when on the road. Because it rolls and shakes, your motorhome or campervan is going to rattle a bit. But there are some tips, tricks and products that can help to reduce rattles in your motorhome. In this video, we've come to the Caravan, Camping and Motorhome Show at the NEC to speak to some experienced motorhomers for their top tips to help you have a non-rattling good time when you're touring. First up, let's speak to Bob Earnshaw. He's toured thousands of miles in his Swift Contiki motorhome with his wife Jenny and dog Poppy.
The flap that comes up, and it's the thing that extends the worktop on a lot of motorhomes, and you often get it on campervans that goes across the door, that rattles quite a lot. Normally they're magnetic catches, so the little thing's sort of wobbling about and you're wondering what the noise is, and it is actually the magnetic catch that's moving about as you're driving. And what I did was I got a little piece of foam, it actually came out of a whiskey bottle, stuck it on with a bit of double-sided tape, and that makes an amazing difference. So I think that's a really good one, and it's something probably people wouldn't realise.
So my top tip at the moment would be to carry a little bit of pipe lagging, because it's always useful to plug in little spaces. And also I have a sheet of little plastic blobbits, I don't know what you call them, and you stick them behind the cupboards to stop the cupboards from rattling. And I know this because I've spent months recently trying to sort out a rattle from the van, and it turned out to be not the cupboards. Although I did that anyway, it's part of the process. I tightened up all the screws on all the cupboards. I did everything I could, moved everything around, and eventually I found out it was the fly screen. So I put a bit of pipe lagging between the fly screen and the kitchen, and it's gone. And now we have silence.
So one of the top tips I give is probably tea towels. Take some tea towels away with you, and you can wrap all the bits and pieces. Normally it's the pan that rattles in the oven. That's always annoying, the little grill inside the pan. So put the tea towel inside the pan and then the griddle over the top, and yeah, just wrap it all up in cloth.
First thing I would always do is, if you have a microwave, the plate and the little circle bit that it sits on makes a lot of noise. So get a tea towel, wrap one in there, pop the little circle bit on the top, pop it back in your microwave, it won't make any noise.
My top tip to prevent rattles in your motorhome is to take a trip to your local supermarket, ask permission if you can help yourself to the little pre-cut squares of bubble wrap that exist in the fruit and veg section. Years ago I was in there collecting them all up and had this little tap on my shoulder, and this lady said to me, "What motorhome have you got?" And she was of course dead right, and I thought I was going to get told off. So ask permission. But Asda have these little pre-cut squares of bubble wrap that you can slot between your plates and bowls. Perfect for keeping the rattles down in your motorhome.
Cupboards do a lot of rattling, and as you're driving along, if they're not properly latched, you'll notice that it will vibrate, and the whole thing's vibrating all the time as you're driving along, and the worse the road is, the worse the vibration. And you've normally got a little couple of screws that hold the catch in place, just to tighten that up, just to move it a little bit, and it needs to be a millimetre or so the cupboard latches properly and doesn't rattle as you're driving.
So my top tip for reducing rattles would be get yourself a roll of non-slip matting, because then you can cut it to shape, use it to line your drawers to stop things rattling, and you can wrap things up in it as well.
So one thing I've done is the little jars of spice you can get, obviously they clink when they push together, so I changed all those for little round pots, and there's a magnetic sheet and they stick to that so they don't move and they don't rattle.
If you're carrying wine bottles, go for a plastic or cardboard collar that you can slide over the bottle and stops them coming into contact with each other. And my last tip for stopping rattles in your wardrobe of the motorhome is wrap the clothes rail in a J-cloth or a tea towel before you hang the hangers, and that will keep the hangers from rattling.
Yeah, so products that I would use to reduce rattles is stacking boxes, and little containers are your best friend, because then you can put items in there so you've got nothing loose that's rolling around in a drawer or in a cupboard while you're driving, and also it stops what we like to call cupboard roulette. So when you pull up somewhere and you open the cupboard, you're not going to have things falling out on you because it's going to be all nice and contained in the boxes.
Yeah, so if you are a newbie to campervanning and you've got your new van, and you're driving along and it's got these annoying rattles, top tip is to take someone with you, because while you're driving you can't hear the rattles when it's not moving, so you need to be driving to hear them, and then go on a rough road, take a passenger, and then the passenger can actually safely listen around the van to try and isolate where the sound comes from, because you could think it's from over there and it actually is over there. So a friend is my top tip. Always have friends.
So if a lot of drop down beds, they rattle a lot, especially if you're going downhill. So I've got two things on there to stop that. One is a strap, like a ratchet strap. And then on the other side, I've got a pillow that pushes in between the bed and the wall, and that just stops it rattling when it's going up and down mountains.
Always have a huge selection of tea towels. We've got a box full of tea towels. Wrap everything in a tea towel. You can get little separators as well, little pads that you can put between plates, you know, rattle as well, and that's a good one. Grill pans are particularly in ovens. If you leave the shelf in the oven, that vibrates. Always take those out, hide them away, and never ever leave a grill pan in the grill. That's just the worst rattle. It really is.
So the source of the rattles generally around the blind area. The blinds have got a lot of parts, so some of those parts can rattle. I found the best way is to get yourself a little roll of thin felt tape, and sometimes you can just put those in little strategic places and that'll probably stop the rattle.
So the one thing I would take on a campervan trip to reduce noises is, I'm going to have it anyway, tea towels, because you know if the oven's a bit rattly or the plates are a bit rattly, they go in between, they damp the sound, it works a treat, and it's as old as the hills as the tip goes.
Yeah, so for all your crockery and stuff like that, it's worth swapping all your glassware out to either melamine, plastic, or a bamboo type, and that will stop a lot of the rattles.
And the stuff that's got the anti-slip bits on the bottom, automatically then it doesn't rattle against each other. So that was another top tip that we discovered.
Yeah.
So there you go, some great tips and products for reducing rattles in your motorhome or campervan, as well as keeping things in place to prevent service damage and a costly motorhome insurance claim. And don't forget those all-important tea towels for reducing rattles in your motorhome. We hope you found this video useful, and for more hints and tips, why not head on over to the Caravan Guard website. Happy motorhoming!